So in this video, I'd like to explain kind of why I'm making this YouTube channel, my intent, my goal, my desire. If anyone's seen The Matrix, they'll kind of know where I'm going with this. But being able to look at like a house or a building or a car and see not just the thing that's in front of you, but see how that thing was made and all the parts of it and how they fit together, right? Like with this pen, right? You know that there's a spring inside, and you know that there's a way that this, when the end comes down, it'll let the end back in, and then when it comes back down using that same spring, it'll return to its original position. And then there's an ink inside, right? And so the ink inside the pen is made a certain way, and then there's a certain way that that ink can get to the tip of the pen, right? And then all these things have to be made in a certain size and shape and way so that they can fit together and actually work. And then there's a clip here. The clip's made of certain type of material so that it's flexible enough that you can set on something, but not so flexible that it doesn't hold its shape. And looking at everything in this way, you can look at, like I said, a car or a house or a piece of furniture or a bed or leather seats or anything really. I want people to be able to break things down like that. And there's a video that I'll link where you take like a car, for example, right? You break it down into the parts that make up a car. So one of the parts is a bolt, right? And then how do you make a bolt? Well, it's metal and threads. And so how do you make the metal? Well, how do you make the threads, right? And being able to break it all the way down to like ore and measurement. And so this isn't the only way this can be broken down. You can break it down into sheet metal and dye and all a number of different things. But taking just something at the very, very bottom and saying, well, how do you make that? And then how do you make the thing above that? And then how do you make the thing above that? That way you're not here and saying, well, how do you make a car? And then having to run through all the parts when you don't know how to make any of the parts below that. So start small, and then you can build up to how you make bigger and bigger things. I also want people to be able to unleash their own curiosity and say, well, I'm curious about how you make this, and figuring out how you're going to figure out how to make that thing. You're going to try it on your own. You're going to ask people who know. Who knows? How do they know? What experience do they have? Can you just watch it on YouTube? What can you do to figure out how to make this thing? It's also a list of rabbit holes, which is a very similar thing of being able to go to a place and have questions being asked that you yourself can go answer, that you didn't know the answer to, that you didn't know the answer to. And I really, I think people becoming more competent is not a bad thing. People learning how to do things is not a bad thing. Having faith that there's like always going to be vinegar at the store, or always going to be wine, or always going to be this food, whatever, is an act of faith. And if you're willing to make that act of faith, that's fine. That's your life. But personally, I don't have that faith. I want to know how these things are done all the way up to the top, so that if stuff happens, I can at least know tentatively how these things are done and how to do them myself, and what tools I'll need to make so that I can make the tools to make the tools to make the tools. So that's it. Everyone have a blessed day.